Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome to a special Allot webinar. This one is dedicated to a kind of unique opportunity that service providers of any sort, communication, ISPs, etc., that have present today for securing their customers' connected home. And this opportunity was already growing in importance and in the interest that we're seeing in the market, but today it's an even sharper focus due to the coronavirus pandemic and people being at home. Before we get started, let me take the opportunity to wish you all well in these unusual, difficult times. I'm hosting the session from my home, and my colleague is from his home, and undoubtedly many of you are also joining us from your working from home offices as well. And this becomes very relevant for today's webinar topic because the connected home that we're all working from, et cetera, it has to be made safe. It always needed to be safe, but now I think we all feel it more than ever before. So my name is Michael Schachter, and I'm a product marketing director at Allot, and I'm joined today by Eyal Yair. Eyal is the founder and CEO of Netonomy, which is a startup that was acquired by Allot and has turned into now the HomeSecure product that we'll be focusing on in just a few minutes. As you all know, and all your customers know, broadband is a critical commodity, and we all feel it today perhaps more than before, but also the awareness that broadband has to be secure is more and more prevalent. And Eyal will be talking about how our Allot Secure family deals with this topic. He'll drill down into the different security challenges that we have, but specifically in and around the connected home, because that's where we're all working, and that's where our kids are studying from, and we're all being entertained and keeping in touch with the world from home. Allot works in the network intelligence and the security as a service space, and specifically in security as a service, we sell our solutions to you, the service provider, to then sell onward to your consumer and SMB, small, medium business markets, but also to enterprises as well. And we're happy to share with you this particular connected home-oriented solution that we believe will improve your customers' online security and increase their satisfaction in you as a service provider. So just before we get started, a couple of housekeeping items that I always go through at the beginning. First of all, there's the Q&A window that some of you I see are already using, and that's great. To the right of the window, you should be able to see a Get in Touch with Us screen, which if you do use it, and we welcome you to use it, please also type in the actual question, because all it says is, I'm interested in more information, and so we would like a little bit of information to focus us on what you're looking to get from us. So please fill that in. At the bottom of the screen, there are a couple of link widgets, which give you some easy access, one to our HomeSecure solution page, but also another one, which is an up-to-date and updated coronavirus kind of data page where you can read some reports about things that we're seeing in our customer networks around the world, and also what other industry specialists are reporting on. And there is, of course, the Q&A window where you can ask us questions. Today's presentation will include also a demo of the product, so stay tuned for that as well. Before we get started, if you could help me out just so we can know who you are a little bit. So are you a fixed or a mobile service provider or converged of one or kind of another? Or are you an enterprise that sells to CSPs? Or are you just some other kind of enterprise, but not specifically a CSP? So that'll help us a little bit with focusing some of the information that we pass on to you today. Okay, so let's take a look at your distribution. And half of you are converged, and another 15, 16, 70% mobile. Some enterprise who sell into CSPs, and a similar amount of enterprises who are not CSPs. So I encourage the enterprises who are not CSPs, when they hear the solution being discussed for the home, to think about how a similar solution would actually work in a small business behind the CPE or the router in the home office or the small office. So that was one question. And if we can just drill down a little bit further into your role within the company where you work. Are you engineering? Are you marketing, who would be marketing this service to your customers? Are you somebody from operations who would need to see how it works in the network? Or are you from security or some other branch within your company? Okay, let's take a look. And what do we have? Okay, mostly engineering, some marketing, a similar number of security, and a similar amount of others. Okay, so I think we've got the right audience in place, and I will now turn the presentation over to Eyal, and Eyal will take us through, two more slides for me, and then I'll turn it over to Eyal. Just a little piece of background before we dive into the specifics, and this comes from the reports that I discussed that you can access through the link on on the widgets below. You all know that the coronavirus is out there. Everybody's lives are upside down, and hopefully healthy and otherwise okay, but learning new ways of working and playing. And so researchers, one particular report that we saw, showed that 80% of the current cyber threat landscape is using the coronavirus to get at the customers, whether it's a phishing site or malicious attachments. There's a lot of fake news and redirections to supposed websites that are going to help you deal with coronavirus or deal with your internet or deal with other aspects of working from home. And in fact, it's malicious websites where they're trying to steal your credentials or infect your systems or so on. Ransomware is up, and they're using, again, that same kind of coronavirus bait to get you in. Zooming attacks. People are using Zoom to study or other, WebEx, Teams, whatever, and all kinds of fake attacks are coming in through those avenues as well. Just the other day, there were these free movie offers, and everybody got very excited at the office that you could watch any new movie from the United States for free, and in fact, it was a phishing attack. So there's a lot of danger out there that's directed to the coronavirus. And the result of that, right, there's a famous expression, your home is your fortress. So what I said here is that it needs to be, and it needs to be a digital fortress, because there are so many kinds of attacks coming in and spreading within. And this is where you're working now, and it's where your kids are studying, and it's where you're streaming, it's where you're playing your games, and you're watching your movies, you're doing your Pilates and your yoga, and your family get-togethers who can't get together in person. It's crazy, but that's the life that we're all living right now. And it really falls on all of us to take the steps needed to make our homes more secure. And for those of you who are service providers, to be offering solutions that can help your customers increase their security. So one last question before I do turn it over to Eyal, and that is, the kind of stuff I've just been talking about, is this stuff that you're already aware of, or have you not heard about it at all, or you've heard about it but you don't really think it's a serious threat, it's just a lot of hype, it's just a scare tactic, or you have actually heard about it, or you've heard about it and you've actually experienced it. So let me know where you are on that scale. Okay, and let's take a look at the results. Okay, so it's not news. I'm not telling you anything new, but what we are going to tell you is about a new solution that you can offer your customers to help them solve these very real issues that they're confronting. And now I'm going to turn it over to Eyal, who will talk about Allot Secure and drill down into the actual HomeSecure solution. Okay, over to you, Eyal.
Thank you, Michael. I moved one slide forward. I hope you can see the Allot secure strategy. Yes? Is this the one?
Yeah, I see it. It's moved to the
Cool.
to the.
Okay, so before
and we're moving forward. Yeah.
So before I dive into the HomeSecure solution, I want to take the bird eye view for a second and talk about the Allot security in general, or the 360 approach, as we like to call it. So within the Allot family, we have a few members of the security products that we provide. We have the HomeSecure, of course, which the entire session is on the HomeSecure. It's our solution on the home CPE, on the home router. We have an endpoint secure solution, which can be installed on the endpoints. And we have the network secure solution, right? But for all of them, we have one unified management to control them all. So let's say I'm a parent and I want to set a parental control policy over my kid. The policy will be enforced regardless of how the kid is connected to the internet. So the policy will be enforced if the kid is browsing his LTE or 4G of the network. It will be enforced once he comes home from school and connects to the home Wi-Fi. And it can also be enforced if the kid is browsing the Starbucks Wi-Fi while he's at a restaurant at Starbucks, and so on. And so not only the parental control policy, also the security 360, regardless of how the user is connected to the internet. And that's the Allot a secure solution. But within this session, we will talk about the HomeSecure solution. So, Michael, back to you for this poll.
Sorry, I was on mute. Before we get into those details that Eyal was talking about, be interesting to hear ahead of the details that he drills into what you are concerned about, or what you think your customers are concerned about when you think about the security of your home connected devices and the threats. Are you worried that suddenly devices will stop working, like someone turns off your smart refrigerator remotely, or that web cameras will be hacked and your physical privacy will be violated, or people will be listening in through some other kind of device, or perhaps that your children will be exposed to inappropriate content because they're online all the time and there's nothing stopping them from browsing to sites that they're being tempted to visit. Are you worried about ransomware attacking your home computers and suddenly being frozen out and so on? Or are you worried about actual data safety, that people will get into financial data or other kinds of assets and actually use cyber to rob you remotely? So curious just to see what people feel is the most threatening aspect. Okay, let's take a look. So financial data seems to be quite high, as well as privacy, and then children's security, and so on. Okay, that's quite interesting. And let's drill into the details now.
Right, so for HomeSecure, our tagline is simple, reliable, and secure network for the connected home. And really every word here counts, where simple means I, as the home admin, and every home has the home admin, like the guy who the house members will always come to when there is some sort of a problem within the internet or the connectivity of the home. I can really, in a very simple way, manage my network, manage my connected devices, understand what is going on within all those tens of devices that I already have connected into my network. And I will explain and demo how we do that. Reliable means that the network will operate. It will work. And if there is a problem with my network, with the connectivity, with the internet, we will guide you and we will help you to solve the problem. So the network will be reliable. You will have connectivity as it's a necessity within our life. And of course, the security, which goes without saying. You will have all the security, the privacy, all the stuff that worried us within the previous poll. So we all know that the number of IoT devices and connected devices, they're increasing exponentially within our home, right? This is a very interesting piece of data. We have tens, if not hundreds, of honeypots scattered all around the world. And what we experience is that it takes about 42.5 seconds, the time between we release a honeypot into the air, into the internet, and from the time you release it until it's being infected or attacked, which is a crazy number, 42.5 seconds in average for a device to get infected. So that's really insane. Emphasize the pain that we are facing. So a few words about the COVID-19 and the new challenges that it brings. The number of MS Team users, and those are some pieces of information which I collected, which I believe are interesting and might also help us explaining what we are doing for the next few slides. So the number of MS Teams users has grown by 12 million. So right now it's about 44 million daily users, which is an insane number of daily users for this software. I took an example from two countries, Spain and the US. So in Spain is experiencing about 40% increase in data consumption, an increase in phone usage, but of course, boom, in remote working tools. This in the US, this comes from Verizon. So 47% increase in the US of collaboration tools, interesting. High volumes of call and 33% increase on the call duration, which means people are staying longer on the phones. And then CSP are seeing a dramatically increased load on network as more people each day work from home. But not only work from home, we also see that students can be our kids, getting lessons from their teachers, universities, and so on. Students are also start studying from home. And meanwhile, when people, especially younger people, when they're not studying or if we're not working, we consume more data, right? The streaming video consumption is very, very high, video on demand, and so on. So I think it's safe to say that across the world, more people than ever before are working, studying, streaming, and Zooming from home. This is a very nice sample. This is a report from Trend Micro, all right? Everything here is very recent. Those are websites. All of them are fake, okay? Fake website, phishing sites, disguised as aiding or pages or everything around the COVID-19. So as you can see, upper left side, a COVID-19 safety portal, just right to it, fake Center for Disease and Prevention whitelist. Again, phishing sites. In Canada, fake COVID-19 emergency fund, and some interesting pieces of information about 1 million spam messages related to COVID-19, about 1 million, give or take. That's 960,000, give or take. About 48,000 hits on malicious URLs, only related to COVID-19. I'm just talking about COVID-19. 700, give or take, malwares. And those numbers are really, really, really high. And they're specifically targeting the COVID-19 and the fact that we are at home and we are using the internet more and more at home. This is from a Bitdefender, Bitdefender Labs. They did some research and they found that for specific routers, hackers managed to hack the routers and we're talking a substantial amount of routers here, hacker managed to hack the routers and manipulate the DNS of the routers. And so once the user was trying to browse somewhere, instead of reaching the site he was aiming to, he was redirected into a phishing site where they could take data and then also implement malicious code on the user endpoint, PC, laptop, and so on. So just by manipulating the DNS of the router, and this is a great example and also very, very interesting in my opinion. So we understand that we have a problem, right? There is a problem, and we need to try and solve it. And this is exactly what we are doing within the Allot HomeSecure. So what we did, we developed a very thin and a very efficient layer of code. This is a software-only solution, which we install on the home gateway right here. And from there, we monitor all the incoming and outgoing traffic within the home, right? So everything that is going into the outside, into the internet, will go through the router, will be inspected by the agent, and the agent will decide if it's a good connection or not. And also communication between devices within the home will also be inspected and monitored. And the agent on the router will decide if it's a good connection or not. Everything is backed with our backend system. So all the communication, everything that is happening within the home is also being reported to the backend. In the backend, we do an anomaly detection and creating profile for different devices within the home. So every device, we create a profile for the device. The profile can be consist out of, let's say, number of times the device is communicating to the outside world, or the packet size, or the sites themselves that the device is connecting to, and so on and so on. So we gather all this information, we create a profile to the device, and then we start monitor the profile. And if the device, or when the device is acting outside to its profile, we also intervene and we block this attempt. Within the backend, we hold the threat database. So what we do, we are connected to the Allot unified threat database. We have one threat database which serves all the different Allot secure components. We talked about the endpoint, we talked about the network, and we talked about the HomeSecure. So one unified threat database that serves the three of them. So the HomeSecure backend connect to the Allot threat database, consume the latest update, and then for every home, prepare a small database that is tailor-made according to the different devices that this home owns. So different homes will have different local database, right? And then the last component would be the mobile application, which is used for a two-way communication. Okay? In one way, the app will notify the users about stuff that is happening within their network. So it might be, hey, Michael, Eyal is trying to connect to your Wi-Fi. Do you want to allow? And then you get two buttons, yes or no. So that's one way of communication. But as a user, I can also interact with the system, and I can also initiate a conversation with the system, and I will demo that in a second. So without further ado, I will share my screen, and then what I want to do is to show you a short demo of the application. So I guess you can see the screen of the app that I'm sharing. It's on the right. That's the Android device right here, and that's the icon which I clicked on of the HomeSecure app. Once I initiate the HomeSecure app, I get the home screen, right? The home screen is the simplest screen within the app. It's for the very, very average user, if I'm the average user, all I care about is my network safe or not? That's it. That's all I care about. Is my network safe or not? And what we see right here is that we have three different statuses. We have green, yellow, and red. And right now, the status of my network is yellow, which means in terms of security score, it's moderate. And that's what's interesting here. But if I'm a little bit more advanced user and I want some more from the system, then I will go to the family tab. And what I have here is an ability to control the devices that I have within my home and control the house members using those devices. And let's see how it goes. So the screen, is divided into three different parts. The first part, the upper part, is the house members, which we see right here. So here we have, we have Emily, and we have John. And if I click on John, so I can see all the devices that are under John's name. If I want to add a device, I can click Add a Device, and then I just added a device under John. I can see the device that are under Emily, and so on. So this allows me to create a group of devices under one house member, and then set content control, parental control policy for this person. So this way, once I'm setting a parental control policy for Emily, for instance, setting active hours limitation on her connectivity to the internet, very relevant nowadays, because my kids at least are consuming a lot of time across their screens. Or if I'm just worrying about the stuff that Emily can be exposed to, and I want to block her from accessing a specific content within her devices, I can do it from here. And once I set this policy for Emily, it's immediately being enforced for all the devices that under Emily. So if I set it for John, then once I set the policy on John, the policy is automatically being enforced on all the devices that under John's name. So that's managing house members. I can also create a group of devices. Again, easier to manage. So I can say, okay, that's the living room, and within the living room, I have a set-top box and a smart TV, or the IoT devices that I have at home, and so on. And here, again, I can set content control policy or stuff like that over the group, and it will be enforced on all the devices under the group. And at the bottom of the screen, I can see all the different devices that I have at home. This gives me the transparency about what devices are connected, when were they connected. I can see that the Office PC is online, router is online, the iPhone within the last hour, and so on. And if I drill down to one of the devices, I click on the Office PC, I get extra information on this specific device. All right, so I can see if there is a specific vulnerability related to this device. In this case, no. If the device has an antivirus installed, yes or no. This can also be used for marketing at a later stage to sell antivirus to this customer. I can set, again, content control policy on this specific device, but right here I cannot do that because I get a message that this device belongs to Emily. So if I want to set parental control on this device, I need to set it on Emily, and it will be set on this device. I can click on the history and see where this device was browsing in the past 12, 24 hours, and so on. Just for the sake of our sample, I just click on the IP camera, and what we see here that there is a vulnerability within the IP camera because port 23 is exposed. No AV, of course, on the IP camera, but because port 23 is exposed, my network score is medium and not green high. I will we'll skip the messages box just for a second. We'll go into the security tab. Here, there is a report on all the security incidents, events that happened within my network. Let me see if I can do something here. What you see on the left side, that's a team viewer into the Office PC, right? The Office PC is this device right here. This is the one. So what I'm doing right here, right now on the left side is team viewer. So I'm basically in the Office PC, which is protected behind the HomeSecure router. And then I will just choose this URL, which is a phishing URL. I'm sorry, I didn't say before, but this is PhishTank. I'm sure all of you are well aware of PhishTank. PhishTank is the most comprehensive website aggregating phishing URLs. So this is a search for PhishTank with valid, and I will try to browse into this phishing site. And what happened is I'm immediately blocked, and I get this warning message that I would try to do something, and I was blocked. And within the app, on the right side, what we see the messages. We see the messages right here at the bottom that the device Office PC on your network tried to do this and that. And we also see in the report, which is the same URL that we see right here. So the last thing that I want to show is the messages tab. So like we said, it's being used for a two-way communication. We have a chatbot, and the chatbot is being used one way to ask the user a question about stuff that is happening within the network. We want to allow this, allow that, and so on. But I can also initiate a conversation or ask the chatbot questions. And I will click on the question mark, which was on the bottom right, and I get few options. This is fully configurable, and every CSP can put whatever he likes or wants here. And I will go with, I have an internet problem. So now the chatbot starting the conversation, asking me question about what's wrong with my internet. So let's do my internet is slow. So single, or let's go with multiple devices. So I'm being asked, are you using file sharing, BitTorrent apps and so on? I'm saying no. Please restart the router, and then I get step-by-step what I need to do in order to solve the problem. And this is a very, very powerful tool, to make our users happy at the end of the day, because the user, it doesn't need to wait online until the representative receive his call and then try to help him. He gets an immediate response, and the chatbot helps him solve the problem. And then second, we save CSPs money on support tools, and that's also very, very powerful, right? So basically what we do, we for every CSP, we take the most common problems that they came through within their experience, from their experience, and we encapsulate and integrate them into the app, and this is how the chatbot is, this is where the chatbot is taking this information from. All right, so just stop sharing, and I'm back to the presentation. Another interesting feature that we provide within HomeSecure is running antivirus on specific connections or communication that we choose. So we can decide, for an instance, that we run AV scan on IoT devices. Because IoT devices, we cannot install antivirus and so on. So what we do, from the CPE, we steer the traffic that we want to inspect into a proxy server. So what we think we do not want to inspect, we release directly to the internet, we get a response immediately, everyone is happy. But if it's an IoT or an HTTP or whatever we decide, traffic that we want to inspect, we will redirect. We will steer the connection into our proxy server. Once we get a reply, we will run the antivirus. And if all's good, we will release the content back to the user. This is also very powerful because it allows us to run antivirus on devices that basically you cannot install an antivirus on. Another interesting feature that we provide, we also harden the CPE, right? So back to the example, so this was that Bitdefender researchers released last week about the DNS manipulation. Once we're installed on the CPE, on the router, we monitor the DNS of the router, of the CPE, to make sure no one manipulates with the DNS settings of the CPE. And if someone does, we immediately block that, and we revert the DNS settings to the original ones, right? We also inspect and look for a weak Wi-Fi password. If the user sets a weak Wi-Fi password, we alert the user via the chatbot, asking him to improve the password. We set two-factor authentication, which means if the user wants to enter into the UI of the CPE, of the router, same way we do with when we want to enter our bank account, the user will have to click yes within the app on the chatbot, and only then he will be granted access to the GUI of the CPE. And last thing we do, we hold whitelist for the router, because there is no reason for the router to communicate with any sites other than the CSP ones, right? Only the protocol that he usually communicate with, and only with the whitelist IPs or URLs that he's authorized to, and we monitor that. And if for some reason someone did manage to put something on the router, and then the router is trying to connect to the outside unauthorized URLs or IPs, this will immediately be blocked. In terms of our capability, we have a lot of experience integrating our agent into CPEs. We support Broadcom. We have very strong relationship with Broadcom. We support Intel. We support Qualcomm. Realtek, by the way, not here, already integrated with leading CPE vendors. You can see the list down here. And our requirements from the CPE itself are very, very minimal requirements. In terms of stress test and stability test, we have some really exceptional results, good results, because the way we built the agent is in such a way that it almost does not interfere with the communication. The user experience remains the same, no question about it, and we sometimes see an increase of a few percent within the CPU usage, nothing more than that. Latency is also very minimal because of the local database that we hold. So before we move to the next slide, which would be a poll, a few words about the security perimeters we discussed. So the inner circle is the reputation, monitoring malicious IPs, URL, the DNS, phishing sites, and so on. Just above it, it's the anomaly detection, creating profile for different devices within the home, and then monitoring the profile. We have the CPE hardening, which I talked about 2 slides ago. IoT and LAN protection, we actively scan the network from the outside and from the inside, looking for vulnerable devices, open ports, default username, password, stuff like that. Once we find, we take measures, we take actions, we block those open ports and so on. And the last perimeter would be the antivirus scanning, which we talked about. Michael.
Okay, getting a lot of interesting questions in the Q&A window. Thank you all. I'm trying to answer them as quickly as I can with an ear open to the presentation. One thing I will say is many people have asked, the slides are available afterwards. You'll get a follow-up email from us with both a link to the on-demand so that you can watch it again or refer it to colleagues who didn't get a chance to see it, but there will also be a PDF made available of the presentation. The question that we wanted to ask is, so the way this solution, I hope, has clearly been understood by you, is something that we provide to the service provider, who in turn then sells the service to their mass market of their home consumers, right? And so the question is, do you as service providers already sell or have tried in the past to sell some kind of home cybersecurity solution into your customer base? And so there are a bunch of answers here. No, I don't think this is a CSP opportunity. Very interesting what you're saying, Allot, but no one's going to buy it from us. Thank you. Hopefully that's not the answer. But yes, but only endpoint solutions, which we have heard that as a frequent answer, and not a lot of traction from the service provider to the end mass market. Yes, but only to small businesses. It's not a home solution. It's a business solution. Or yes, but only to enterprises, bigger companies, and different kinds of different scales of solutions. Or potentially yes, but a DNS-based security, which I think Eyal described pretty clearly why those aren't all that secure, but yet they are out there in the market. So these are the answers from which to choose. So I'll give you a minute to look through them, and let's see what you guys say. Here we go. Okay, pretty evenly distributed, with the leading one being an enterprise solution. A fair number are thinking that it's not a CSP opportunity, or an endpoint opportunity, or more of a business one. Okay, so what we are actually trying to say here, and I hope it's become a clear perception, is that we believe this kind of a solution could be a game changer, because it will appeal to the mass market. Other surveys that we're doing, and we will be reporting on a big survey of the North American market shortly, there's a rising awareness, there's a rising interest in a comprehensive security solution, and other reports that we've researched have shown that the mass market is willing to look for these kinds of solutions from the service providers. So we do think there's an interesting opportunity here. Okay, back to Eyal, who will now talk about some of those, in fact, those unique value propositions.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. And just to take on what Michael just said, we do also have a solution for SMBs. So for small, medium businesses, we have Business Secure, which can be installed on the business gateway and providing the same type of protection to the business, for those of you who are interested. And B, totally agree with you, Michael, on what you said. The opportunity is really here. If you think about it, I mean, more and more and more connected devices within our home, lacking the basic of security, exposing us to all those incidents, and the best place, I would say even the easiest place to protect all of them is from the CP. Endpoint is hard. No one likes to download an app and install an app. If you need to install an app or a software on all your connected devices, it's a huge effort. On top of that, you cannot install an antivirus on IoT devices, right? So, and this is why we believe that the CPE is the gateway, is the best place to to install the software, and it's also very, very easy to distribute because it's being done through the TR69, just like that. So once you want to deploy, the CSP wants to deploy from the TR69, just push the solution into the customers and they're done. So 3 last slides for me summarizing what we have learned today. In terms of cybersecurity, full range of security, we have the protection from anti-malware, phishing, CNC servers, and so on. The selective antivirus screening, which we saw, and the router hardening, that's under cybersecurity. We also provide the digital parenting, the content control, website filtering, time limitation, very, very relevant today. We have the troubleshooting, a very unique feature for Allot HomeSecure, improving the home user experience, reducing support cost, making your users more happy, because if I need to wait online for the support representative to pick up the phone, that's frustrating, at least for me. Router compatibility, lots of experience with integrating our solution into a variety of CPEs, of routers. We have an ability to support legacy routers, old routers, because of our low footprint and low CPU usage. We have a management portal for the service provider, giving you visibility. I did not demonstrate it here, but giving you visibility into the different routers that are installed, and within every CPE, you get a visibility into the home, what's the devices that are connected within this home, the vulnerability of those devices, and so on. Can also be used for marketing purposes. And last, and maybe most important, is the 360, the true 360, which Allot have. It's the network secure, the endpoint secure, and the unsecure combined together, providing full protection for the end user. Michael.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Eyal, and thank you all for your attention. There are a lot of interesting questions that are flying in faster than I can answer, and some of them require a little bit more detailed discussion. So again, I would like to refer those of you who I didn't answer or who want more detailed answer than they got to use the next couple of minutes and write out your questions in more detail and include some information about who you are in the contact for more information window, because that will trigger an email and it will help me be reminded to get back in touch with you. I will go through the Q&A offline, and whomever I didn't answer, I'll do my best to get a product expert to be in touch with you. So just to wrap this up, and there was really quite a nice turnout and a lot of detailed questions being asked, so it sounds like it's an interesting proposition. And I guess we all understand these are challenging times. For the foreseeable future, the home is even, as I said, more critical as a gateway to the world for all of us. And so it really does need to be safe. We all want to stay online. We want to be able to work safely. One of the things that people have been finding, I don't think we touched on it, is that even though working with your remote office is perhaps secured by stuff in the remote office, if your home device gets infected, you may then spread that to the home, to your actual headquarters. So that's another angle that needs to be looked at. So the challenging times, connected home has to be secured to the best possible. And because of this, we really do believe that CSPs have a great opportunity now to help their customers, because our customers are looking for solutions. And it has positive side effects for your business as well, because you will then become the service provider with the secure broadband and not just the broadband where you're fighting on, gigabytes and speed and pricing, but a valuable feature that your competitors don't have. And as a result, you get increased loyalty. And depending on how you go to market, this can drive revenue. And we've seen this very strongly already in our Allot Secure family of network-based solutions. Customers are happy to adopt it and happy to pay for it, depending on how it's packaged, how it's bundled, how it's presented. And we can help you with the marketing side of that as well. So we're here to help. We have a solution that is really hitting the market at a time when the market needs these kinds of solutions. So please don't hesitate to get in touch. As I said, there are links at the bottom of the screen, which will bring you to some of those coronavirus-related reports, but also to the HomeSecure landing page, the website, where you can get more detailed information and where you can reach out for contact with a direct, representative. There are, as I said, a whole host of unanswered questions that I didn't have time to get to, but we will get to them. We'll take it offline. Again, encourage you to use the contact for more information window, but not just to click, to actually fill in the details so I know what you're asking. So thank you again. Thank you, Eyal, and we will be happy to continue the conversation offline and look forward to seeing you all at our next webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.